Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Skullface. So this is unusual for me. I know I've been saying this a lot lately, and I know I've been saying that I've been saying this a lot lately, but this is the first time in probably like a year that I've done a video on a browser-based video game. It takes a really good browser-based game to kind of break me out of that Steam bubble or Xbox Live Arcade bubble that I usually find myself in with respect to stuff to cover. This is, to put it quite frankly, that game. This is a game created by one guy, you can see there, Greg Sargent, that is basically like... Let's not beat around the bush here. This is very much influenced by Meat Boy, to the extent that you can like look at a lot of the levels and even the sound effects, some of the assets in the game, and be like, there's a decidedly like Meat Boy type bent in this game. Just because it's a little derivative doesn't mean it's not very good. This is in fact a game that I've been having a lot of fun with, and I think if you're a fan of games like Meat Boy, you're going to enjoy this as well. So this is free, by the way, 100% free. I'm just playing this in the browser right now, and I'm going to get started. Now, I have completed a lot of these earlier levels, but we might as well go through a lot of them just to kind of get a feel for how this game basically works. So we're going to go for Genesis here, and then I'm going to move my mouse pointer off the screen, and we're going to get an idea for how this works. So I am playing as Skullface here. And basically the way that this works is exactly the same as Meat Boy. We can run around, we can jump using the spacebar, the arrow keys are run, as you can see, and the spacebar is jump. And we can also do a wall jump as well, which you can see right here. So I'm just going to tool around, there's no fall damage or anything like that. The controls are exactly the same as Meat Boy, essentially. And, you know, if you are one of those people that hates when I reference Meat Boy in my platforming videos, well, there's basically no way around it here. I mean, look at the assets that you see here, look at the object of the game, like, look at the level design. There's a lot of levels that feel like, I think I've seen this before, basically. There's no question that this game is highly derivative of Meat Boy, but that doesn't necessarily mean it is without value. So we're just going to beat some of these early levels, and then we'll jump into the second world, which is where I am right now. I've been playing for about 45 minutes probably, and it's something I was just like, you know, I'll just play like a little bit of this game so that I can get ready to record it, and then I found myself sort of getting sucked in. It's also got a little bit of an N influence, or N+, if you're familiar with those games as well. We're just going to sneak up here. One sore spot, I will admit, is that as far as I know, there is no gamepad support, and I played Super Meat Boy entirely with a gamepad. Most of you guys are probably familiar that like the way I got my start on YouTube was by Let's Playing Super Meat Boy, and well before the Northernlion sucks at video games meme or prevailing thought. By the way, there's a roll here as well, which is really satisfying. There was this prevailing sentiment that I was actually kind of okay at video games, because I basically 100%ed Super Meat Boy on my channel. This is probably my favorite genre of game, so I'm a little bit biased with respect to this. The game that we are playing right here, but it's also a genre that I love a great deal, and whenever there are new games in this genre, I very much enjoy playing them. But anyway, we went a little bit off track there. I'm pretty sure that these like blocks right here look exactly like the ones in Super Meat Boy that dissolve when you stand on them. But in any case, yeah, I played Super Meat Boy entirely with the gamepad, so to play it on the keyboard is a little bit disorienting for me, but, you know, say it with me. What's the most important thing if you're going to be playing a tough-as-nails platformer? 3, 2, 1, full frontal no, tight controls. We absolutely need tight controls in a game like this. And despite having, as far as I know, no gamepad support and controlling entirely via the arrow keys and the spacebar, it's a game that absolutely controls very well. There was not much of a learning curve. Again, this might be because the physics engine basically feels exactly like Super Meat Boy, so if you've ever played that game before, you're going to be able to jump into this one quite quickly. And a lot of the puzzles are very similar as well, so we should be able to make it here. That was kind of close, but we made it. One of the innovations, and believe me, there are innovations here. I know this looks very Meat Boy-esque here, like almost as if it was a direct ripoff. There will be some new innovations that we'll see when we get into World 2, but one of the innovations is that roll, and to be quite honest, that's one of the most satisfying parts of the game here. We don't get to use it on every level, but we do get to use it more frequently as we move along here. Let's just keep this up. Like so. Sorry, I had to focus there for just a second. Yeah, the animation all feels really fluid. This is one of the levels where I was like, I'm pretty sure I played this exact level in Super Meat Boy. Feels very similar, but again, things do get different. We're going to have an introduction to a new mechanic quite shortly, which will kind of turn this thing on its head. And actually, I didn't know anything about this game. I'm not sure how recently it came out. I think it was fairly recently, though. But then a friend of the channel, Rockley Smile, played it. And it was actually a really interesting story about this. And Rockley Smile and myself, how we got to know each other, that a lot of people are probably not familiar with. So Rockley Smile is another YouTube channel who does a series called Indie Impressions, which is basically like Let's Look At It. He looks at indie games, only he's a little bit more dedicated than me. He does it every single day and has for like 300 days in a row, which is pretty crazy. Come on, Northernlion, get it together. We know it's a double jump here. Yeah, so he's done it every single day for like 300 videos. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The whole point is, before I knew him as Rockley Smile, friend of the channel, I knew him as Rockley Smile, dude who developed a bunch of levels for user-created additions to Super Meat Boy. He was actually one of the more prolific developers for Super Meat Boy, so When he made a video for this game and compared it to Super Meat Boy, I knew that I absolutely had to check it out. And in doing so, found myself actually basically addicted to this game. So I'll absolutely link to Rock Lee Smile's impressions on the game. I know that they are positive as well, but consider this just my way of encouraging you guys to check him out and giving him due credit as well for introducing me to this game. Because I cover the mainstream indie stuff. I'm basically the opposite of an indie games hipster. This guy, he's got his finger on the pulse of what new stuff coming out is. So there's another innovation in, innovation might be a strong word, but another difference between Meat Boy and Skullface here is that there are enemies as well, and the enemies can actually be interacted with and have to be used to solve puzzles a lot of the time. So it's not just wall jumping and rolling. We have to use these enemies as well to solve some puzzles. Let's make it over here. But anyway, the very interesting story about Rock Lee Smile is that the way we sort of met is that well, we have a mutual friend, Max Ovitz SJ, which I had never pronounced his name in public. That sounds kind of silly, actually. That's his username. But he introduced me to Rock Lee Smile, who was creating a bunch of user-created levels for Super Meat Boy. Then I played them on the channel, and I kind of blasted them. I was like, this is way too hard. Like, no one will ever be able to beat these. And he was really nice about it. He's like, you know what? Maybe they are too hard. That's basically the end of that story. That's how we met. Rock Lee Smile and Northernlion became acquaintances over me making fun of his Meat Boy levels. But that's neither here nor there. We're playing some Skullface right now. And I am almost... Oh, that was terrible. I'm getting fairly close to the end of World 1 here. World 2 is really where this thing is going to get turned on its head a little bit. Already, if you're a fan of Super Meat Boy or other puzzle platformers of that kind, that was a terrible attempt at a roll there. This level took me a long time to figure out, actually. Because the thing is, when you jump on an enemy, you can either just bounce on it normally, or you can hold down jump in the air and get kind of a boost off of it, which is necessary for this part right here to give you a little extra air. So you can get up there. Oh, and I botched it again. I'm going to blame that one on the keyboard controls, whether, you know, that's accurate or inaccurate. But yeah, already if you're a fan of games like this, you're probably thinking, I should probably play that. Obviously, I will put a link in the video description since it is free, and you can just go check it out, which I would definitely recommend doing. Season so far has been very light on new games, and this is one of the better ones I've played so far in 2013, even though I believe it came out in December 2012. Okay, so now we're on World 2, and they introduced this new mechanic, which is the jetpack, and this is what really sets this apart from that which shall not be named, which I mentioned earlier. So by using up, we can use this jetpack, and these like flame barrels that we come across right here are basically refueling stations, which we use to get our fuel back up. And we're very quickly going to come across the last level that I completed. So as you can see, you know, like Meat Boy, there's not a whole lot of gameplay if you already know what you're doing. Like, the gameplay is in the trial and error, which is something that I actually enjoy, but some people always express like, oh, Meat Boy is really only like an hour long if you know what you're doing. Yeah, well, if you can beat Meat Boy, if you can sight read Meat Boy in an hour, you have my kudos, good sir. Anyway, this is a fairly difficult one. We got a wall jump over here, get the jetpack, don't get hit by the knife. The jetpack mechanic does feel a little unusual, but that's probably only because I'm coming from like a Worms Armageddon perspective where, you know, it doesn't function the same as that game. Or Waking Mars, I suppose. Jetpacks are a pretty well-used game mechanic. But I always feel like there's... Oh, that was terrible. There should be more, given the kind of affinity that dork culture has for jetpacks. I don't mean that in a negative way. People are always like, man, it's 2013 now. Why don't we have jetpacks? I'm like, man, have you seen people driving? You do not want to see people flying. Also, I'm pretty sure it would melt your shoes to your feet. And you probably complain about that, because that's what you like to do, apparently. You like to complain. Can we make it? Barely. Alright. Same thing with flying cars, man. I've seen most people drive. I don't want to see them with like 3 possible dimensions to make an error in. Alright, here we go. This is where things get difficult. Now we're playing like some Techno Kid Adventure / Rocket Girl here. And I am doing a piss poor job of it so far. Come on, physics! I can do this. But yeah, things get very difficult. I'm not going to say it's more difficult or less difficult than Super Meat Boy, because to be quite honest with you, I haven't played that much yet. I'm on World 2. Each world has 15 levels in it. I'm not sure how many worlds there are in the entire game. We'll get some more fuel here, then we'll get ready to go. Believe it or not, that was the easy part of the level. This is the hard part right here. Alright, I'm just going to sneak through and then die. Yeah, so I don't know how many worlds there are. There might only be 2. There might be 1,000. So I encourage you to go to the website and check that out for yourself. As always, I am not the holder of all information related to the game. I'm just a messenger. That was a piss-poor attempt as well. But, you know, like Super Meat Boy, the progress that you make is fairly quick, but also incremental. So, like, you have this obstacle that you can't get through. You died 50 times. You say, I'm never going to play this game again. then finally you just get it right once, and from that point on, you get it right like 65% of the time. That was terrible. It's also the kind of thing where, like, in Super Meat Boy, and games like this, all games like this, I'm just picking Super Meat Boy because it's the one that I am most familiar with. And I'm pretty sure I said Super Meat Boy like 10 times more than the actual name of this game in this video, but that's kind of to be expected, given the main influence here. Okay, you know what? No more stories for a second. Time to nut up and actually finish this level. Then I can tell the story about how my friend was so bad at Super Meat Boy that I had to give him a walkthrough on level 2-1. You can make it! You made it! Okay. So, I was playing Super Meat Boy. I was really into it. I convinced one of my friends to buy it. But I think he kind of got impatient and skipped through the tutorials. So he's like, man, I'm on level 2-1 and I can't figure out how to beat it. Like, the jump's impossible. And I tried to walk him through it. I was like, dude, that jump's like pretty easy. You just bounce on the wall and then jump over the like broken syringes. I can't believe we survived there for a second and a half. And he's like, no, man, I can't do it. And I was like, you are holding the run button, right? And he's like, there's a run button. So this motherfucker, there's supposed to be a level in World 1, if you've watched any game, the movie, or played the game yourself, that is impossible to beat if you're not holding the run button. I guess this guy just missed that memo. Probably, like, it had his huge sack sitting on the right trigger or something. I don't know. Anyway, that's my story about how my friend's really bad at Super Meat Boy. Josh was really good at Super Meat Boy, though. He beat a lot of my times. And again, Rock Lee Smile is probably way better than me at Super Meat Boy, considering he designed some of the most difficult levels I've ever played in that game. I don't know why this has become the Super Meat Boy Nostalgia Hour. This is basically like, I realize most of the people watching this have probably played Super Meat Boy, because it goes on sale on Steam, like, once a day for $3.74. However, if you're, done with Super Meat Boy, but you like those games, definitely consider checking out Skullface. Like I said, 2013, I mean, it is only like January 5th here. Probably be like the 7th when this goes up, but it's been pretty light on games. This is a good opportunity to sink some time into a game like this, and support basically like a one-man dev team. I mean, I realized Team Meat was only 2 guys. That being said, it's still very impressive when a game like this gets built by one dude. And I can't stress enough that my #1 complaint, why did I not like They Bleed Pixels? Floaty controls. Why did I not like Gianna Sisters? Well, many reasons, but controls was one of them. Why did I not like Party of Sin? Same thing. I mean, those aren't all in the same genre. But why do I like Super Meat Boy and VVV so much? Beyond the puzzle design and just good level design, it's tight controls. And this game controls as well as those games, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's a very satisfying game to play. The role in particular feels real good, I gotta say. Alright, so I believe this is the last level that I did before starting the recording. So if we get through this and get on to the next level, then things are going to get substantially more difficult. So it does a good job of kind of like incrementally increasing the difficulty. Like you've seen that we've had to interact with some jetpack stuff, and then they introduce these like weird spiky cannonballs. So now we have to do jetpack plus spicy cannonballs, plus that knife. Plus a lot of wall jumping. But here we go. So we're going to jump up, come through, land. Perfect. That was actually much easier. It does kind of... Oh, I definitely did this level as well. It does kind of have that same... problem that a lot of games like this have. I'm trying not to mention Meat Boy so much, where there's kind of inconsistent difficulty, but it's always difficult to say if the difficulty is truly inconsistent or if it's just like individual like player preference for levels. Oh god, just make it, thank you. Like I'm never sure if the level is actually easier or if I just find it easier. Like do 100% of players or 90% of players find it easier, or is it like 10% of players find it easier? It's hard to say. This level, I actually did this one as well. In fact, I think I did one after this as well, but they introduced these jump pads. Basically, just saying that the game has a lot of varied elements here. And they introduced a lot of them on World 2. Oh, you can make it. Barely. And this is another interesting one. Like, the game starts out basically being, as I mentioned earlier, I hesitate to say it, but I'm only going to say it because we know that it's not true now. It starts out being basically a ripoff of Super Meat Boy. Which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, a lot of people thought Terraria was a ripoff of Minecraft, but that ended up getting its own audience and being a great game in its own right. But then it does diversify itself a little bit. It's not contented to just, don't roll, jump. It's not contented to just be like a Super Meat Boy knockoff. It does strive for higher and higher aims. Nobler aims, shall we say. And to a certain extent, I think it succeeds. This is one of the best free games I've played in a long time. To just sneak through here. One thing I will say, it absolutely controls better than the free version of Meat Boy, slash the Meat Boy version that was included in the Basement Collection. I know I'm going to take shit for saying that, but, oh, this level is difficult as well. That game doesn't, Super Meat Boy controls fantastically. It controls perfectly, in my opinion. The same way that I feel like a platformer like Mario controls perfectly. But the Meat Boy that was included in the Basement Collection and the free version of Meat Boy does not control very well, in my opinion. That's one of the things they did very, very right in upgrading the game for Super Meat Boy. But this game feels as tight as Super Meat Boy, so now we gotta bounce on this thing right there. There we go. Alright, so we'll probably play a few more levels. This was actually the last one that I was on. Okay. So we're introduced to these platforms. You might just think these are falling platforms, but in actuality, they have momentum. So if you bump into them to the side, like as you can see right there, you'll actually just knock them to the side. So what we have to do, I think, is stand on that one platform, which is going to cause it to drop down. This is the tight one, obviously. And then we just wall jump up here. Alright, and then we got to kind of send this one flying, like so. Oh, okay, I got it. Maybe we got to run into it like really hard. And then jump on it, and then, oh, it's so close. Alright, that is actually going to be fairly difficult, but that's a cool mechanic. So there is a little bit of physics-based puzzling in here. I can't really say if that widens in scope as you move along, because obviously I'm still maybe not early in the game at this point, but I haven't gone through the entire thing, so I'm not sure if that ever widens. But in any case, we're going to send this out far. Jump! Alright, that was surprising that I did so quickly on that. I don't think this is a case where this game is easy. I think it's more of a... No. No deep sea creatures. I hate octopi! Delicious. However, also super gross to look at. I don't know what it is, man. Always enjoying these games, and then these deep sea creatures show up. Cut me some slack here. Some people have phobias, man. This is not cool. Here we go. I think I need to, like, hit this guy, then kind of just stick to the wall, and then start my own platforming. Like, don't try to do it all in one fell swoop, I mean. So, like, land, hit the wall, and then start doing my own thing. That was abysmal. It's weird, you know? You think by touching the tentacles of the octopus, you just die. I'm pretty sure the main reason that I dislike deep sea creatures is because of video games. Like, I played a lot of Mario as a kid, and I think the fucking blooper, man, like the squid that's underwater, always induced such terror that just extended to my everyday life. So now whenever I see a jellyfish, I'm just like, well, I mean, I know blooper's not a jellyfish. What's that question mark at the bottom? That's probably just the health menu. Whoa. I like that. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to die here because there's no way I'm gonna make it. Unless that cannon worked like Braid. Alright, maybe we can go a little bit faster. You just gotta take a leap of faith. That is really cool, actually. I like that level design. We probably just have to go as fast as we can, basically, on this level. Here we go. Try it out. This is my sight read, essentially. Well, I guess this is my second try. You can do it! Skullface, you cannot do it. Oh, that was abysmal. Let's try it again. There you go. There you go. Okay, pretty good. Now, fall. Then jump. Octopus. Wow, that was actually surprisingly good. That's what I like about these levels. Is that, what did I say this about? What game was it? It was Super Mario Lost levels. I was like, when you get good at these games, or when you're like playing them the way they're meant to be played, they're not so much platformers as they are rhythm games at that point. As you can see right here, I'm having a little bit of trouble with my own natural rhythm. But yeah, it's more about just like a pattern that you're basically inputting. It's not about, you know, looking at the levels as you come across them. It's more about just being like, okay, what would make natural, like, rhythmic sense here, if that makes any sense at all. It probably doesn't. It doesn't even really make sense to me, to be honest. This will probably be our last level over the course of this video, because I'm not sure how much of the game I want to show off here. 2 whole worlds seems fairly accurate. I'm not even sure what number of level we're on right now. Okay, so I gotta definitely bounce, big bounce. Bounce, big bounce. Bounce, normal bounce. Okay, big bounce. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. Go high. No! Okay, it's okay. Okay, stick it out on this guy. Alright, that was a pretty good level. What level was that anyway? Oh, Lord. This is a very Meat Boy influence level, as you can probably tell. But okay, we gotta go faster. Okay, so keep it up. This is almost like the boss from part 1 of the forest. Although, it's also almost like a, one of those levels from hell that, like, came at you with the lava from underneath. You guys know the one I'm talking about. Anyway. Keep it up. The saws, amazingly, don't hurt you. So far, so good. Jump over. Oh, it said jump over, not jump on. Could have planked on that. Keep going. Keep going. Alright, get the jetpack. Get high! Northernlion story, get high! It's not cool, man. I don't condone the use of illegal narcotics. You don't want no part of this, do we? Keep it up. Good. Good. Not so good. You see what I mean when I say that the level design in here, like, it starts out, like I said, being very, very derivative of Super Meat Boy, but then it gets interesting in its own right. Like, a lot of the levels are, like, multifaceted, where you have to, like, incorporate multiple skills that you've learned throughout the game in order to succeed, and I think that's really cool. It's ambitious. That's terrible. It's ambitious for a free game like this to have that kind of design. I think it works really well. The fact that this is made by one dude, and he's not charging money for it, the fact that he's not charging money for it might be due to the fact that it is so Super Meat Boy-esque. However... Oh, you almost had it! However, this is a game where I absolutely, like, if you charge $5 for it, I would be totally in for paying it. But I'm glad it's free, because it means it's going to open it up to a wider audience of people who, you know, obviously don't want to shell out for a game that they haven't really played yet. So far, so good! Oh, get the jetpack! Okay. How do you even do that last one? I guess you gotta save some jet fuel and then just make it work, because I don't think you can just platform over there with, you know, momentum and physics. That's not good! Jetpack mechanic actually feels pretty good. I know I dissed it before, the Worms Armageddon for life, but no, the jetpack mechanic feels A-okay in my books. There we go, we saved some jet fuel, not very much, but enough to possibly, well, die on the spikes. That was what I was gonna say. You know what, this is gonna be our last attempt here, and then I give up on Skullface, which I'm giving a hearty recommendation in case you didn't listen to my dialogue, because I just trailed off and started talking about how bad my friend was at Super Meat Boy and how I met Rock Lee Smile. Oh, okay, you know what? We got one more try. I already started slow, so this isn't good. But I know exactly how to do it. You have to use the jetpack as soon as you jump on the squid face, man. Okay, we're gonna keep doing this. I know I can beat this. Just kill me. I know we can beat this. Together. If you guys, everyone out there, start clapping your hands. Here we go. I can hear it from the future across the world. Alright, well, you weren't clapping hard enough. So, we're gonna try it again this time. This time with some feeling, please, because I'm relying on your support. And this success is gonna have nothing to do with my skill. It's entirely based on this completely arbitrary... Oh, okay, last one. This is for real gonna be the last one. Not because I have to defecate. Random YouTube commenter 61. Okay. Get up there, bounce around. That was the new House of Pain song. No, you had it! Okay, we've got one more. That's seriously it, because the game ropes you in, man. It's the same kind of, like, Super Meat Boy VVV. You're just like, hey, man, this is too hard, I'm gonna quit. And then it's like, oh, it's not that hard. Look, you almost got it this time. And then you're like, oh, fuck you, VVVVV. I didn't almost get it. You're just gonna rope me around, jerk my chain for another 30 minutes. Like so. Love how these videos... Same thing with Potato Man, and it starts all, like, not regal, that wouldn't make any sense, but it starts fairly professional, me being like, oh, this is a herp-de-derp influences herp-de-derp developer history, and by the end I'm just like, fuck, gotta get it done! One more. We're so close, I can't quit without beating it now. A silence fell over the crowd. I don't even know I was gonna go Bastion narrator there, but... You know, you never go full Bastion. Oh my god, it's so close. This game does a good job of that, like, it's civvy, man. Like, civilization-y. Just one more turn, Mom, I swear to God. I'll be done just as soon as I subjugate the entire Mongol people. Keep going. Boom, boom. Yes, okay. That's gonna do it, and I'm gonna call it quits now. Thank you guys for watching, this is Skullface. I'll put a link in the video description where you can play it on the developer's website. I think it's also on Armor Games. This is a really good game. It's free. I've had a lot of fun with it so far. One of my favorite platforms of 2012, up there with Potato Man so far. I mean, it is only 5 days into the year, but still, in any case, definitely check this out if you're into, you know, Jumper, Super Meat Boy, and Plus, stuff like that. And in any case, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.